Good morning, everyone. We are in the Pill Method Club this morning. This is going to be good. This is how to pay off mortgages in 7 years. And today's title, today's subject. And I knew if I put that subject up there, Dawn was going to be in the room. Cash is not king. Oh, I'm looking for a spirited debate. Good morning, Dawn. How are you doing?
Good morning, Dawn. You, I saw that title. Yes, yes, yes.
I, I can't wait to hear what you have to say on the subject.
Oops,
Uh-oh, did we break something?
I did.
Oh no.
That's what happens when you're live, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you're not out on your walk today?
I was leaving, but then I realized I need to join you at 7, so I can't walk and talk. I get out of breath.
Oh, okay,
But I'll
okay.
pick it up later. It's okay.
All
I'm
right.
happy here. I can't miss this one.
You
I
can't miss this
cannot.
one. Listen,
No.
listen, folks. You guys got to get up here on this stage and talk about this. I know we've got some opinions about cash versus credit. Oh my goodness! But in the meantime, Miss Dawn, would you be so kind as to introduce yourself to the folks?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dawn Robinson, the Money PhD. I am a single mom turned millionaire at age 44. Hey, but that was not without me paying off $140,000 in 17 months. And so my journey now is to help other women who start late, typically 40 and over, that are ready to achieve financial freedom. Because I always say you're not financially free until work becomes optional. So that is my journey. And thanks for having me today, Dawn.
You better believe it, folks. Listen, if you need to hit Dawn up and get some. If you want to know more about what she's talking about, please hit her up on the back channel and see what it is that she can offer. I mean, I hear her all the time dropping huge gems in other rooms. We're going to expect the same from you, Miss Dawn, because you know what your opinions are on this cash versus credit thing, because this is what it's all about. Cash is not king. So what is king? All right. My name is Don Daniel, founder of Pill Method International, a better way to eliminate debt. And Pill stands for prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity. Let me give you a quick overview of what we're talking about. Prepayment of principal means that when you prepay, that means when you pay over and above the minimum payment on your loans, that money goes straight to principal. That part we know. What we aren't aware of is how much interest we save when we do, and the interest savings can be optimized, meaning finding what is the least, not the most, what is the least we can pay on a particular loan so that we can save the most interest per dollar applied. So if you have more than one loan, that really comes into play because you could put your money on one loan and save a little bit of interest, or put your money on another loan and save a lot more interest. And I mean a ton more. And we're going to be talking about that today. 0% credit cards and all that kind of stuff. So we're looking at what is the best and highest use of our money. And today we're going to focus on liquidity. That is the last L in Pill Method. Liquidity. How to use our money. Now, your money has different costs. And 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 if you can look at a direct cost or an indirect cost. So yeah, I can look at something and say, you know what, the cost of those tires is going to be $400. That's the cost of the tires. Or I that's going to be a direct cost. Or I can find some bargain and get some tires for $200. That is a direct cost. But the indirect cost may be that these tires, the steel belts might break. These tires, the $200 tires, won't give me more mileage. So the indirect cost is that I would have to pay more in the long and short run because I paid $200 for these tires instead of $400 for the other tires. So we're going to take a look at direct costs and indirect costs today on all of this. All right. So does anybody in the audience have anything to say about cash versus credit today? Because I have a little story to tell. And I'm going to get into that right now. I live in Huntsville, Alabama, and we had this conversation with a banker. And I'm sitting in his office. He's a junior VP, and we were sitting in the office, and he is, he's a Dave Ramsey fan, and what he was saying is that he was going to have between 3 and 6 months of cash put away for an emergency fund. And he was really focused on 6 months. So he says, well, I need $36,000. Now I'm going to be putting some things on the screen. Now, if you want to see this example, you want to go to ice10k.com. I'm saying ice10kvideos.com, ice10kvideos.com, so that you can see it on YouTube. If you want to see it on any other streaming platform, you can go to my 10K card here, ice10k.com. When you go to that link, you will see watch us live. Okay. All right. You can watch us live, ice10klive.com. You can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, on Twitter. Watch it on a different device because I'm getting ready to put this on the screen so that you can see the numbers, what we're talking about in terms of how we should view our money and the cost of the money. Let me see here. We need to share this screen. There we are. Boom. Okay. So folks, let's take a look at this thing. So I'm putting in here $450,000 mortgage at 4% because that's what he had. Okay, $450,000 mortgage at 4%, 360 months, 30 years. Okay, and this is the mortgage. So zero that out. Okay, so we're going to take a look at that. So here's what we're talking about. Here's what he wanted to do. He wanted to have $36,000 in savings, and he makes good money. So he was going to be able to do that in no time. So he's got 36 grand. Okay. And that was his goal. That was going to be a safety net. And I said, where are you going to keep that money? He says, oh, well, I'm going to keep it in my savings account. All right. And at the time I said, well, how much your savings accounts? Well, our savings accounts don't make that much, but I need to have that money available to me if something should go wrong. I could lose my job, I could get sick, or something could happen to my wife. She it would affect her income. So we want to have that $36,000 safety net. And so I'm saying to him, I said, well, have you considered this? He told me, and we pulled a Brett Whistle up on his computer in his office, BRET. If you ever want to do this on your own, you can. The website is Brett Whistle, and I use this a lot for our examples. My program is completely different from this. We just use this to just to kind of give us an idea of what our money's doing. So we pulled this up in his office, and I said, well, if you have that 36 grand, you have it in a bank account making what, 0.1%? He said, yes, but I have it available to me. That gives me comfort if I have to be able to, if something should happen to our finances. I got that. I can make sure I pay my bills. Now, here's what we're looking at, folks. Now, you can do that, or I said, tell me about your mortgage. He says, well, I got 450,000, 4%. Here's the payment is $2,148.37. And for those of you that are in here for the first time, I'm going to go over a little bit about how much equity costs to lay a foundation and how to eliminate interest on an amortized loan. Okay. So here's what we're going to do first. We're going to take a look at this very first payment of $648.37 going to principal and $1,500 going to interest. Oh my goodness. $1,500 going to interest. So if that is the case, let's say this is their January payment, then we can take a look at February's principal payment, which would be $650.53. If we take a look at that, do you have to wait till February to give the bank this $650.53? The answer is no. Miss Dawn, are you with us? Are you actually looking at this example, or are you just listening in?
Nope, I'm watching it.
You're watching it. Okay. So would you be so kind as to help me out today?
Sure.
Okay, good. So now, what I said, was that correct? That if we make our mortgage payment here in January, and then our principal payment for February is $650.53, do we have to wait till February to give the bank that money?
No.
Okay. So if we had it, we could give it to the bank in January, couldn't we?
Yes.
If we did, all $650.53 would go to principal, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so now, folks, we're paid down to line 2 on this amortization schedule, where we would owe $448,701.10. Now, here's the other thing you need to consider. Every time we pay the mortgage payment, money goes to principal. And that could be considered potential equity. You are now paying down the loan, and you're increasing the distance between how much you owe and how much the property is worth. Okay. So if you pay down the loan, and let's say all things being equal, you give that bank $650.53. That's your equity, but they want you to pay $1,497.84 in interest on that. So if I give the bank this $650.53 early, I'm paid to line 2 in the first month. And my next mortgage payment is on what line of this schedule, Miss Dawn?
You're on 3 now.
I'm on 3. So I'm going to pay how much principal?
$650.53.
And how much interest?
Wait, the interest is okay. Are you on line 3 now?
Yep.
14.7.
Right. So if we do that, if we're looking at that now, what happened to this on line 2? The interest cost on line 2, the $1,497.84.
You skipped it.
All right. So you never have to pay that, correct? All right. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Right. So you never have to pay that 14. So we just saved a ton of money.
Yes.
All right. So in other words, if we follow the bank's way of doing this, our $650.53 worth of equity, if we had waited till next month to get that equity, it would have cost us $1,497.84. But if we prepay it, do we get that equity for free because we don't have to pay the $1,497.84 now?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So listen, folks, anytime you're prepaying, you're saving time and you're saving interest. What we haven't known traditionally is actually how easy it is to save that interest and how much interest we're actually saving with small amounts of money. You see, when we're thinking about doubling up on a mortgage, we want to double up on the whole thing, when in fact, all we need to take a look at is paying back the principal, because we didn't borrow the interest column. That should not even come into our consideration in paying when we're paying back a loan. We need to take a look at this and say, if we want to pay this loan off cheaper and faster, okay, when we're trying to come up with how much money to place on the loan, the amount of interest that the bank wants us to pay should not become a consideration because we're not paying interest when you're prepaying. All right. So that's where we are. So even if we did this, Dawn, let's say we made our payment here in January, and we decided, oh, since we learned that, what if we did this? We give the bank the next three principal payments: 650, 652.70, and 654.88. We're going to give them the principal amounts on line 2, 3, and 4. We're going to give that to the bank in January as well. Then what happens to the interest on line 2, 3, and 4?
It's canceled.
It's canceled. All right, folks. Now, if anybody wants to ask any questions about that, please come to the stage, and so we can, make it very, very clear. So we just got some equity, but we just saved, wow, about almost $4,500 in interest we never have to pay. Whereas if we had just done things the bank's way, we would have had to pay that interest. Now, watch this. Here's what I need you all to see. I need you to take a look at cumulative principal and cumulative interest here. And this is what I pointed out to the banker. And folks, if you're new to the room, and you want to watch what we're doing, go to my 10K card up above and then click on the button, and you can see Watch Us Live. And then you can find your favorite social media app, and you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Just go there and you can see this. And we have 5 shares right now. Could you, and we have 19 people in the room, could you please go ahead and share the room? Can we get up to 10 shares? Because every time you share the room, guess what? People see it in the hallway. When they see it in the hallway, then they can come in. And if you want to know how, oh, thank you, I got a 7 shares. So if you want to know how to share this room, if you have an iPhone, you see that little square at the bottom with the arrow pointing out of it. Just click that and share the room. You can share it in several different places. If you're online, if you're watching us, if you're watching the stream, then LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, please go ahead and share it there as well. Get it out there far and wide. I need you guys to focus in on cumulative principal and cumulative interest. Cumulative principal and cumulative interest. And the reason why I use Brett Whistle is because people can see what is going on with their finances. So if we can take a look at line 12 on our amortization schedule here, and take a look at cumulative principal and cumulative interest, what does that mean? That means that this system adds up how much interest we pay and how much principal we pay down if we just follow the bank's plan and make 12 on-time payments. 12 on-time payments, not late ones. So if we make 12 on-time payments, Miss Dawn, in 12 months, how much principal will we pay off?
$7,924.68.
And how much interest will we pay?
$17,855.76.
So now, are we saying here that if I want $7,900 worth of equity, the bank wants me to pay $17,855.76 for it?
Yes.
Does anybody here think that's too much? If you think $17,855 is too much to pay for $7,900 worth of equity, go ahead and put a number 1 in the chat. If you think that's too much to pay, put a number 1 in the chat. Okay?
Hey,
go ahead.
You have a question in the chat as well.
Let's go ahead and let's handle those questions as people are putting those number 1s in the chat.
Deanna asks, once we build up equity in our house, how do we access it without having to pay money through a cash out refi or HELOC?
You can't. Wait. You can sell it. You can sell it. You can cash out refi, or you can HELOC. Dawn, do you know of any other way?
Nope. That's it.
That's it. Okay.
That's the benefit of rental property, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. Because I always say if your butt is in it, I usually say ASS, but if your butt is in it or on it is not an asset, a true asset, without being able to sell it or access it through a loan. So that's the only two that I know.
Okay. So here's the thing, folks. When you have equity and when you have equity in your property, it is subject to market conditions. Would you say that would that be true, Dawn?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Now, give us an example of how equity is subject to market conditions, and I think you might go to 2008. What's your idea there?
Yes, that's probably where, and we had this conversation. Yes, because in 2008, the market prices went down. And so everyone was saying, hey, I have this much equity in my house. They closed those HELOCs. The price of the market went down and you could not borrow against your house.
Mm. So what you're saying is that you could, just like your house can appreciate, then in certain market conditions, your house can depreciate. So the equity that you have can evaporate. Is that what you're telling me?
I agree. It
Okay.
is relative.
It's relative. So, folks, here's my point. If you want to do something with that money, if you like looking at your money, that's dangerous. I mean, people just like looking at it. I think that's just dangerous if you're just looking at it.
You're talking about me, Dawn.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Because, Dawn, you're an investor. Okay. You are an investor. All right. So, folks, here's what I'm saying. If you've got that equity and it's making you feel good, but it's just still in the walls of your house, why not try to find out what you can do to make that money work for you? All right. Dawn, do you have any, you don't have any problem with getting your money to work for you, do you? Miss Dawn?
No, I just feel like looking at it a little bit too much, I think. I'm working. You might convince me. I don't know, but we'll see today.
Okay. All right. Let me see. All right. So listen, folks, we got folks in the chat saying, okay, like this guy says, follow him. No, we don't come to this room and try to um get people to follow you to go anywhere because I don't know you. So any messages like that are going to get deleted. Okay. Miss Dawn, if you see a message like that, delete it. Oh, and by the way, if you do crypto or let's see, trading, and that may be good for you, but please don't hit me up on the back channel and ask me. It's obvious that I have a business here, and people are asking me all the time, Dawn, do you want to make extra? You want to make an extra $1,000 a month? Why are they asking me that? Okay, so don't ask me to become a binary trader or crypto trader or whatever. Don't bother asking me. All right. So please don't hit me up on the back channel to do that. And don't leave messages in my room either. Let's not do that. All right. So anybody else have any other questions? All right, so listen, here's where we are, folks. Here's where we are. So, Dawn, here's the next thing before I get into back to our banker friend. Okay, so if if I'm going to pay down this $7,924.68, that's the money I borrowed, and I'm obligated to pay that back. But do I have to pay it in 12 monthly installments? That's $7,000.
No.
Oh, okay. All right. So if I had it, I could pay it on line 1.
Yes.
And if I did, would I be paid down to line 12 in just 1 month?
Yes.
What would happen to all the interest payments between line 2 and line 12?
I'm gonna use a different word now. It disappears.
It disappears. So I can get this equity. All right. The $7,924.68. I can get that equity not for $17,855.76. I would get that equity for only $1,500 I would pay on line 1 in interest. Now we got to pay the bank something. I'm not saying we can pay the bank nothing. I'm just saying we can get our equity for a lot cheaper. So do you realize, folks, that I just explained to you how you can get $7,900 in equity here at a discount of $16,379.93. You do not have to pay all of that interest to the bank. So now that we have some understanding here, okay? All right, go ahead. We got 11 shares in here now. Let's go. Let's listen. Pump it up to 15. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Every now and then, folks, when you're new to the room, go ahead and share the room. Let's get some more people in here. So here's what we're talking about. So Miss Dawn, so I think you know where I'm going. So this guy wanted to keep $36,000 in his bank as a reserve fund. Okay. And what do you think I suggested to him?
Consider applying it to the principal of the mortgage.
Consider applying it to the principal of the mortgage. So now, if we do that, we would take the money out of the bank and he would no longer have that safety net, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Does that kind of make you and other people nervous?
Have mercy. Yes, sir.
What do you mean? Come on, Dawn, talk to us.
I like to see my cash.
Okay. Well, but come on, give us a little bit more. Why is that important? Because listen, you're talking for a lot of folks out here today.
Well, for me, I mean, I've been a single parent. I was a single parent as a teenager. So for me, it's safety and security for me. I need to know that if something happens outside of being able to use a credit card, that I have access. And it just makes me sleep at night. The other is I have multiple properties. I have 7 properties. So I need to know that there's cash flow available because something's going to happen that I can maneuver without going into debt. So that's what makes me comfortable.
Okay. So we're talking about you need money available just in case something happens.
Yes.
And this is why we're talking about the word liquidity, folks. When you're liquid, there's more than one way to be liquid. You just need to have access to cash.
Yes.
All right. So now your cash has your liquidity has different costs. So let's take a look at the word fungible. I'm going to put that on the screen. All right. Let me make this a little bit bigger. All right. Because this is a term used by economists. So when it comes to fungibility of money, I'm going to look at this, the last part of this, able to replace or be replaced by another identical item, mutually exchangeable. Mutually exchangeable. Okay. So let me ask you, Dawn. I've got $1 in my wallet. Okay. I've got $1 in the bank. I've got $1 on my credit card. Now, are they all mutually exchangeable? Can I buy $1 worth of stuff with all 3 of those dollars?
Yes.
Yes. So the idea that they're mutually exchangeable, you're okay with that?
Yes, of course. You're gonna back me right into a corner.
I'm not either. I'm just asking. I'm just asking. I'm just asking simple questions here. All right. So
I love the way you explain. I absolutely love it.
Okay. So we just want to be able to have $1 to do something with. All right. Now, the dollar on the credit card. What are the pros and cons of spending the dollar on the credit card? If I want to buy something, I want to buy something with $1, I'm going to use the credit card. What are the pros and cons to you, Dawn?
Off the top of my head, I would say the pros and cons. Let's go with pros. The pros is that if I lose it or it's stolen, it can be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no potential loss for me. It is widely accepted.
Mm-hmm.
I can actually float it for 30 days and still be without interest or penalty.
Ooh, talk about that. You can float it for 30 days. Talk to us about that. What does that mean?
That's it. But so there's a grace period. There's an interest-free period on all credit cards. So if you use your credit card and you pay it off before that time frame, that billing cycle ends, you in essence don't pay any interest. So you still have the same access or fungibility of the dollar that's Dawn's talking about in the on the credit card, in the bank, or in his wallet.
All right, folks, listen, keep sharing the room. Let's get it up to 15. We got to get more people in here because this is going to get exciting. What we're talking about here is that if I have that dollar, it's just as well. Here's the other thing. So here's what I want to also get to, and I want to ask you this question. Credit. If I don't have resources, if I can't pay that card off, should I be using credit if I don't have the resources? Credit cards. Should I be using credit if I'm strapped for money? Is a credit card a good source of money?
No.
No. Okay. So, folks, here's what we're saying. There are some folks out there that believe that say if you can't afford it, don't use credit. Now, would you subscribe to that? Don't.
If you can't afford it, I would.
Okay. If you can't afford it, don't use credit. Meaning, I don't have the money. I don't have a means of paying for this. So I'm going to use my credit card. All right. I'm going to satisfy that want right now and then worry about trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for it later. Credit should not be used that way. Okay. To buy it now and then try to figure out how you're going to pay for it. Lord have mercy. And sometimes you can't. Credit is not that. Credit is for people who have resources. Okay. Credit are for people who have resources. Dawn, when you apply for credit and you get approved, do you apply when you need it or when you don't need it?
Always when you don't, because the answer is no if you need it.
Okay. So if you need it, it's just something magic happens and they say, oh, no. You need money. You can't get it.
Right.
So what sense does that make? If you need money, you should be able to borrow money when you need it, right?
So from a risk standpoint, I believe that, from the bank standpoint, I think they're looking at risk, right? You're already tied. You've been not so responsible with what you had. And so now they're wondering if they're going to get their money back if they lend it to you. So there is definitely a risk on the other side to the lender.
Exactly. So what we're talking about is if you borrow money, you're using it as a convenience, not because you're strapped for cash. You're going to borrow your way out of a problem. No. So what we're saying is if you have that ability to borrow money to use it as a convenience, let's see how you can use it as leverage. How can I borrow money to help me? Okay. So for all of those who are saying, Don says, go out and borrow money. And when you've been told, if you can't afford it, don't borrow. Don says, if you can afford it, that's the time to borrow. When you can afford it, borrow. All right. So that's what I'm saying. So now let's take a look at this young man who was saving $36,000 in his bank. All right. Making 0.1%. And it's just sitting there month after month after month, waiting for something to go wrong. Okay. What if nothing goes wrong? That $36,000 is just sitting there making 0.1%, correct? Dawn?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what we're saying. I said, well, why don't you consider this? If we put it on principal of your mortgage, look what happens. In the first year, that's $7,900. Second year, that's $16,000. Third year, that's $24,000. And fourth year, that's $33,000. And we're going to go down to 36,000. Okay, that's 4 years and 4 months. About 4 years, 4 months, about 52 payments. Do you realize you could knock 52 payments off your mortgage with that 36 grand? Okay, I can knock 52 payments off and save over $70,000 in interest. Okay, so the 73,000, okay, $588.21 to be exact. 73 grand I can save in interest. Okay, but Dawn, I just put that money on principal. Where do I have an emergency fund?
No.
Okay, what's the problem with that? What's the problem with the fact that I put all of that money on my house just now?
I don't have a plan for if something happens.
Okay. So listen, folks, does anybody have a sense of dread about the fact that we don't have any money available to us right now? Anybody have a sense of dread about that?
I'm rocking in my chair and it's not even real money spent.
So Don, he came up with the same idea. Says, well, what am I supposed to do if something goes wrong? And I said, well, I said, you work at the bank? Yeah. I said, you just paid your mortgage down by 36 grand. He says, yeah. I said, can you get a line of credit for $36,000? He said, well, sure. I work at the bank. I can get a line of credit for 36,000. I just paid it down by 36,000. Don, what do you think about that? Do you think he was right? He could get a $36,000 line of credit?
Yeah, I think he can even get higher.
Probably higher. Okay. But he can at least get that. Okay.
Yes.
So now let's just work on that. He's got 36,000. And I said, okay, now if you get that line of credit for 36,000, how much are you paying in interest for that line of credit?
You do a great job explaining every time. Even when I'm on the opposite side of the fence, I think you do a great job explaining to where it makes sense for everyone.
Okay.
The answer is zero.
Ooh, zero. He's not paying any interest on that?
He's not.
And why not?
It is a solid move.
So he's not paying any interest because he hasn't borrowed any of the money. What? Yeah. So here's my thing. We just took $36,000. We put it on this mortgage. We just saved 73 grand in interest we don't have to pay. 73 grand in interest we don't have to pay by putting that money on the mortgage. And by doing that, we now have a line of credit available. I got $36,000 available to me. And this is what I asked him. I said, so you're saying you have $36,000 available to you if something goes wrong and it doesn't cost you a penny? It's not costing you anything to keep that money there. So here's what I'm talking about: direct cost and indirect cost, folks. If he keeps that money in the bank, the indirect cost of keeping that money in the bank, when we talk about the fungibility of money and the fact that there's always a cost to your money, there's cost that the cost is something that you could have done that you did not receive for yourself. That's also a cost. If you could have made money and you didn't make money, then that could be considered a cost as well. So by keeping that money in the bank, making 0.1%, he's not putting it on his mortgage and saving $73,000. Now, it's been credited to Benjamin Franklin. Some people say it's not true, but we're going to give it to him anyway. Benjamin Franklin said, a penny saved is a penny earned, right? Miss Dawn?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So then $73,000 saved.
Hey, Dawn, I always say that when you show these examples,
yeah,
to me, that's guaranteed return. That's how I like to see it. Because even with the stock market and it's going up and down, this is a guaranteed savings because you would have to pay this regardless. You have to hold the mortgage and pay it all the way out to the end, or you would have to sell the house in order to avoid the interest any other method.
See, folks, what we're doing, we're paying for equity in a loan is just a way to pay for equity. You're paying to own the thing. You want to own it outright, but there's a cost to it if you use a mortgage. But you don't have to pay all of the interest that the mortgage company or the bank is looking for. So if we give the bank that 36 grand, we just save $73,000 in interest, and we've taken off several years, over 4 years off the mortgage with that money. But we still have $36,000 available to me. Now, what do you think his next words were to me about having $36,000 available to him, and the interest rate, oh my goodness, was a whopping 6%? What do you think his next words to me were, Dawn?
He was like, "Why would I borrow 6% when my home mortgage is at 4%?"
Exactly. Why would I, if something goes wrong, I have to borrow that money at 6%? And I said, okay, well, but if you don't have to borrow it, I said, well, what if you don't have to borrow it? And he said, well, what if I do? I said, well, what if you don't? Okay. So if you don't, it's sitting there dormant. It's not costing you anything. But then he says, again, Don, what if I do have to borrow it? Now I've got to pay it back at 6% interest. I said, okay, let's take a look at it. Now, folks, here's what I'm telling all of you right now. When you hear examples like this, whether it's on TV, whether it's on the radio, whether it's Susie Orman, whether it's Dave Ramsey, whether it's any other financial guru, whoever's out there, okay? But they're not giving you the numbers. You have to ask questions about what are the numbers? What is it going to cost me to follow this bit of advice? So now we're going to take a look at this. I am going to put another amortization schedule on. We're going to say, let's say he's out of work and he has to, or, has reduced hours. Okay. Now, here's the other thing, folks. Let's just say he has reduced hours. All right. He and his wife, so something happens to him or his wife and they have reduced hours. They're not making as much money as they were before. What happens now, Dawn, when they want to go and borrow the money now? They want to take some equity out of their house because they now have reduced hours. They're not making as much money.
Yeah, that won't work then. The bank's probably likely going to say no. But Brittany has a question, and I want Brittany to get her question officially answered.
Okay.
It's, how would the person be able to get the money as credit without interest? I wanted you to explain that answer for her so she can be clear.
Okay, so what is she asking here?
So she's asking, how would the person be able to get the money as credit without interest? When you mentioned that you wanted the banker to go and borrow,
okay,
so she understand that.
All right, let's understand that. So when you have a line of credit, it's potential money. It's like a big old credit card, but you haven't borrowed any money. Okay, you have a zero balance. So you could have $36,000 available to you, but if you don't use it, you don't pay interest. Okay, I hope that answers that. So if it's there available to you, all right, Brittany says thank you. All right, so that's what I mean by you're not paying any interest. It's sitting there, but it's not costing you anything. And the great thing about these HELOCs, they're good for 10 years. And you may never use it. And when it expires in 10 years, guess what they're going to do? Your bank is going to call you and say, listen, this thing's about to expire. Do you want to reapply? And if you've been, good with your credit, you've been responsible, of course you can reapply and get it for another and have it available to you for another 10 years. So folks, we're talking about fungibility. We're talking about cash versus credit. We're talking about, is cash king, or is it a wise use of somebody else's money we should be looking at? All right. So now let's take a look at this. So I said, we're going to put $6,000 in here, and then we're going to take a quick break. All right. $6,000 in here, because I got to get a drink of water. 36,000 at 6% interest. Okay. Now he makes good money. He can pay that back. He can pay it back easily. But can we give him 60 months to pay that back? Dawn?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Let's give him 60 months to pay that back. He says, 60 months? Are you kidding me? It didn't take me 60 months to save it. Yeah, but we're going to give you 60 months to pay it back. Okay. Give you 60 months to pay it back. Payment on that is 6,995.98. He says, well, I can do that. So here's the scenario. You're out of work and you have to use every single dime of that money. But in the meantime, in the next 6 months, while you're still getting your bills paid, boom, 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 boom. Okay. Now, keep this in mind, folks. You still have to have a little cash on the side to, um, you want to have just a little bit of cash on the side. But my cash on the side, I don't keep in the bank. I don't keep my cash on the side in the bank, because the reason why I don't is because I live in Alabama, and I was here in 2011 when tornadoes came through and it knocked the power out for like a week or two, and the ATMs weren't working. So I had no way to get cash. So I keep a little bit of cash, in the safe. Okay, I keep a little bit of cash in the safe just for that reason. So I'm not saying not. I'm just saying you don't want to keep a huge amounts of cash laying around doing nothing, because there is a cost to that. It's called opportunity cost. And the opportunity cost for this $36,000 was $73,000 in interest he was going to have to pay on the mortgage. So he says, well, now I borrowed all of it, Don, and now I got to pay it back at 6% interest. Now I got to pay it back. So I'm back to work, and now I got to pay this money back, even if it's for 5 years. All right. But now I got to pay interest on it. Let's take a look at this. The reason why we don't borrow money is because we're afraid of the 6% interest rate. What we should be focused on is the interest cost. Miss Dawn, I need you to take a look at this. If I pay this back, all right, and if I pay it back over 6 years, I'm going to make every single payment, 60 payments. I don't have to. I could pay it off early, but just say I did. If I use every single payment, how much interest is this going to cost me?
$5,758.
Uh-oh. Do you see where I'm going, Miss Dawn?
Of course I do.
Why don't you talk to me about where I'm getting ready to go?
So basically, he paid approximately $36,000 towards principal to avoid or cancel. I think it was $74,000 in interest.
Almost. Mm-hmm.
And then if something happens, which is Dawn's warm and fuzzy, the banker and I's warm and fuzzy, because we're both on the same page. Then that potential or opportunity cost. Worst case scenario, it would have cost him $5,758.80 in interest on a worst case scenario, right? To avoid or cancel $74,000 in interest.
Okay, folks. Here's how I like to put it, and this is how I put it to him. Would you pay $73,000 in interest to avoid paying $5,700 in interest? Now, I asked him that before I showed him these numbers. He says, no. He said, well, say that one more time. I want to make sure you're saying it right, Don. Would you pay $73,000 in interest to avoid paying $5,700 in interest? He says, no, absolutely not. I said, that's what you're getting ready to do. He says, what do you mean? When I showed him what would happen if he put that 36 grand on the mortgage, 36 grand on the mortgage, how much interest he would save. And we see that here, 73,588. He's going to save that in interest. And then if he has to use the money from the HELOC, the most it's going to cost him is $5,700. Folks, cash is not king. Cash is not king. I do look through. Go ahead and search through our videos on YouTube, and look for the one that says we did one that's sinking funds. Sinking funds are not thinking funds. Sinking funds are not thinking funds. So what is a sinking fund? And then we're going to do a quick reset. A sinking fund is I'm putting away cash in the bank, for an eventuality that may or may not happen. So I put some cash in the bank just in case my refrigerator goes out. My appliances, my major appliances. I'm putting cash in the bank just in case they go out. I can take the cash and then apply it, and then buy a new appliance. So those are sinking funds. If something goes wrong on the house, I can use cash to pay for it. I had a guy come in. I had some shingles loose, and just the repairs around the house. I had a faucet that was dripping. I had a guy come in, a handyman come in and change that out for me. Okay, and so, but I paid him with a credit card. This is done. If you had a sinking fund, you could have used that cash. But if I had a sinking fund, folks, then I could not put that money on my debt and save me way more interest than it was going to cost me to put it on the card, even if I didn't pay it back that month. So when you're making decisions, don't make decisions that are feeling decisions based on words. Make your decisions based on math. This is math, not magic. So does anybody disagree with what we have here? You can put it in the chat, or you can come up to the stage. Do we have any? Let's see. What do we have here?
So, I'm going to jump in here because I think what needs for clarification purposes.
Please.
So people aren't like me, right? Dawn 7 years ago read Robert Kiyosaki, Other People's Money, and didn't realize that it's when we don't use debt and credit responsibly, it's not for the consumer goods. Most of us are running around using other people's money and end up in a hole. You're talking about using it responsibly, not where your credit cards are maxed out or almost maxed out. And you still, if you did not have any money to be able to cover some things, you're saying, hey, if you already have money, because I think those are one of the key points I always hear you talk about. If you have money and you're not tight and you are able to use your credit responsibly, this is the better way to do that versus where most Americans we know don't have that cash nor liquidity or fungibility. Then there's a different decision they have to make. They got to clean up some stuff before they can make these moves. So I just want to clarify that, because that's the life I came from. I felt like I could make the payments, but did not have the movement or the flexibility in using credit the right way.
Okay, so Tiana says, what about reserve funds? I'm not quite sure what you mean because I don't know where you came into the conversation. So can give us a little more information on that. And if you can come to the stage, Tiana, please do, so that you can talk to us, because I know some people listen in from work and they can't really come to the stage. But if you could, please do. And then just raise your hand, or you can give us some more clarity in the chat. Okay. So folks, listen, while we're waiting for that, I want to talk about next is the biggest borrowers in town. That's coming up next, right after this. You're in the P.I.L.L Method Club this morning. And if you're not a member, go ahead and click that green mansion at the top and become a member of the P.I.L.L Method Club, because we go over some very interesting information when it comes to money. I don't like it when people just regurgitate information, but they don't give us the numbers to back it up. And because at the P.I.L.L Method, we're about math, not magic. So don't just put it out there. Give us the math to back it up. All right. So if you want to know more about how the P.I.L.L Method works, let you hear it from somebody else that uses the P.I.L.L Method, okay, to pay off his house. And he makes great money. In fact, he's the #1 motivational speaker in the entire world. And you can Google it. And that's what's great about Google. If you put in top 10 motivational speakers 2022, all right, currently, okay, this year, Who's the number one motivational speaker? It will come up. E.T., the hip hop preacher, Dr. Eric Thomas. Let's hear what Dr. Eric Thomas has to say about the P.I.L.L method. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L Method International, and our team created the most powerful money management, wealth building, debt elimination system ever created. At our recent seminar in Nashville, Tennessee, the keynote speech was delivered by the number one motivational speaker in the world, Dr. Eric Thomas. E.T., as he's also known, mentioned he paid off his mortgage in 4 years using the P.I.L method. I invite you to watch and listen.
Listen to me, y'all. One of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.
Did you hear that? No mortgage, no stress. If you would like to become debt and mortgage free within an average of 7 to 9 years by cutting your interest costs by up to 75%, go to pillmethod.com and request a savings and earnings report today. That's right, folks. You go to pillmethod.com. And if you're in this room and you want to see everything else we're doing, you can go to ice10k.com and then click on the link that says get a savings and earnings report, or you can go straight to the website pillmethod.com and click on the button that says get a savings and earnings report. And once you do, then fill out that first sheet there with you put your name, your email, your zip code, and your phone number. When you put your cell phone number in there, make sure you read the instructions right above the cell phone number. Okay, because people want to go through this so fast, they're getting it, and sometimes they make a mistake. And here's the mistake: when you click confirm, wait for the code that we're sending to your messages on your phone. Okay, when you get that code, just click that button one time, not twice, once. Click it once, and then wait for the code to come. You know, it's technology. Sometimes it comes right away. Sometimes it takes like 5 seconds. Okay, so when the code comes, get the code and put that back into the space provided on the website, and then click yes, I want to save. Okay. So, and also tell us how you heard about us. Okay. Yes, I want to save. And then it would let you into a financial form. Then put all your data, financial data in there. All right. It's going to be totally secure. And we just want to know the numbers. We don't want to know anything about Social Security numbers. We don't want to know where your bank is. We just need to know what the numbers are, how much you owe, what the interest rate is, minimum payments, things like that, and a little bit about your income. So fill all of that out, and we'll be able to tell you the month, day, and year you're going to be debt free and how much interest you could save. All right. And so do that. All right. And there's no obligation to buy our program. All right. So if you want to know, all right, if you want to know how much interest you can save and when you can be debt free, man, oh man, we're going to tell you the month, day, and year. And that's not even where it stops. That's just where it starts. The numbers we give you, we're even going to improve on that as time goes by. So you think, being able to pay off your debt, let's say it comes back, it's going to be back in 7.5 years. We're not satisfied with that. We're not satisfied until we beat even those numbers on the savings and earnings report. We're going to show you how to beat even that. So folks, listen, 30 years to 7.5 years, saving all that interest, who wouldn't want that? And student loans pay off in 5 to 7 years. Oh my goodness. I absolutely love doing this for the folks. Stephanie online says, good morning. Jeremiah online says, good morning, everyone. All right. And I'm going to put it back in the chat, in the comments. Good morning to everyone. All right. Good morning. All right. So, Miss Dawn, we've had a good time so far. And so, we had such a good time. Credit Goddess says, I don't want to miss out on the good time. I want to come into this thing too. Credit Goddess, how are you this morning?
I'm great. A little busy this morning, but I'm here.
All right, listen. So I know you're busy. So why don't you give a quick intro, and then when you ever want to speak, if you have time, you want to say something, just flash your mic or just break right in. Okay, Credit Goddess?
Will do.
All right.
Do you want me to introduce myself right now?
Please do.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Happy Hump Day. My name is Rose Laura Lewis, also known as Credit Goddess. I'm all things credit and the official credit expert for the P.I.L.L Method crew here. I'm a credit score improvement strategist. So not only do I help my clients repair, but through education, I help you improve your credit so that way you can gain access to other people's money, thousands of dollars, up to 250,000 actually, especially if you're looking to start your business. And then you can apply the P.I.L Method tactic here so that way you can save on interest costs and rinse and repeat in your lifetime, right? So definitely tap in with me if you guys are interested in my services. The number is in my bio where you can send your name and email address to, and a link will be sent to you where you can book your free consultation and we can get started on your credit journey into good credit. Thank you, Don. Hey, Don. Oh, Don and Don.
Oh,
phonetically, you guys say.
there you go.
Hey, Goddess, how are
Right.
you?
Good to you.
All right, folks, we're growing the room. We're up to 26 now. Please go ahead. Let's get at least 20. Let's get at least 26 shares in here. And I'm getting ready to answer Tiana's question. We got 26. Let's get 26 shares in here so we can talk about. And the question is this, folks. They tell us to have 3 to 6 months in reserve in liquidity if needed. Now, let's go back, Miss Tiana. We're going to talk about liquidity. All right. We're going to get liquidity. And this is the last L in P.I.L Method. Understanding your liquidity and what is liquidity. So I gave an example earlier. I've got $1 in my pocket. I've got $1 in the bank. I have $1 on a credit card. So that's 3 different dollars. Can I use each one of those dollars or any one of those dollars to buy $1 worth of goods, Miss Tiana? Can you give me a yes or a no? Can I take $1 from the bank or $1 from my pocket or $1 from the credit card? And then can I purchase $1 worth of stuff? Yes. Okay. That means, so I need you to look at this definition here. So we're looking at the last part of fungible, able to replace or be replaced by another identical item, mutually interchangeable. So all 3 of those dollars are mutually interchangeable, but they all have different costs. And I'm going to tell you right now, the money in the bank costs, if you have debt, is the most expensive money you have. What? Even if my interest rate is like 27% of my cards? Oh, if you have debt, if you already have debt, money sitting in the bank is very expensive when you take a look at what you could have saved. A penny saved is a penny earned. So we just showed here on an amortization schedule. So we're taking every dime of this family's of their reserve fund. And I said, what if you did this? We did a thought experiment. What if we put $36,000? That's 6 months worth of expenses, $36,000. And I said, put it on your mortgage. If he did that, he knocks off 52 payments. That's 4 years and 4 months, 4 years, 4 months off the mortgage and saves $73,000. But he doesn't have a reserve fund in cash anymore. All right. And then I said, could you go and get a line of credit for $36,000? He said, well, sure. I work at the bank. I can get a line of credit for $36,000. So he has a line of credit that's available to him. A line of credit available to him. that's not costing him anything because it's sitting there ready to be used if something goes wrong. All right. So it's not costing him a thing, even though if he uses any of the money, it's at 6%. Now, remember, his mortgage is at 4%. If he uses any of this money, it's going to be at 6%. But while it's not being used, it's not costing him a thing. So now, remember when we used the word fungible, mutually exchangeable? So all he wanted was to have money available to him if something goes wrong. Now, Dawn, I need you to be perfectly honest with us. All right. As you're looking at this thing, cash in the bank, all right, or cash in my line of credit, is that the same level of warm fuzziness?
Not for me.
Not for you. Why is that?
I feel I still need some cash.
Okay.
I still need it. And it's just a safety and security thing. One is that I'm still leaving myself at risk of the lines of credit being suspended. I think because I lived through that part when lines of credit were suspended and what you had on it was fine. But if you were already at zero, they shut them down. And credit cards did the same thing. So I think that's for me.
Okay. All right. So now, can I say this? All right. And I hear you. Okay. If I see something coming, because this whole thing this crash didn't unfold like in just 2 days. Lehman Brothers went down and that was all over the news, but nobody knew why. Okay. And then something else happened, and then something else happened, and then something else happened. And then they were reporting that your equity is going down. There's more foreclosures and more foreclosures. Okay. So when that happened, I knew that lines of credit were being shut down, but mine wasn't shut down. What do you think I did with the money that I had on my line of credit?
Pulled it out.
And then they shut it down.
Yeah, I just don't think let me say this.
Okay.
Most people that aren't following the P.I.L.L method are not as savvy. And I feel like the danger is you do such a great job at explaining. People take half of what you say and try to run with it. And they're going to run themselves into a brick wall versus following you and allowing you to be their mentor for the P.I.L.L method. That's my concern.
Yeah, that would be, I think we ought to talk about that, folks. So yes. what would you say, Miss Dawn? What would you say to that?
I would say Dawn does such a great job of explaining this process. And I understood some of it before meeting Dawn, but he doesn't say, so people will take little bits and pieces and run with it as if they got it, and they don't. If this is something that you're interested in, I'm going to encourage you to reach out to Dawn, get your analysis done, and then you can make a decision from there. Don't take this as I got it and move. You will run yourself into a financial brick wall. It is important that you understand all of it and its pieces that are specific to your plan and where you're going before you execute. So
financial education is so important, folks. And we have not been taught how to use our money effectively. All right. We learn a little bit. Okay. But it's not enough. We want to be able to be efficient in our use of money. We want to spend as little and get as much as we possibly can. Miss Dawn, is that right? I want to spend as little, but I want to get as much. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure you're going to have.
All right. Well, so, the thing is that if you're buying a house, right? Don't you want to get it at the best price possible?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. You're going to negotiate hard, aren't you?
I will.
Okay. You're going to take a look at the comps. You're going to have somebody come in and do an inspection.
Yes.
All right. And if they find something wrong, you're going to ask them to either fix it or take something off the price of the house so you can fix it.
Yes.
All right. So now we're going to negotiate hard for that. Okay. So what we're also wanting you to do, Excuse me. If you're negotiating hard to purchase the house and want to save money there, but you're paying retail for your money to buy the house and you don't have to, you can get your money at wholesale. Okay? Because we're talking about the biggest borrowers in town. Okay? The biggest borrowers in town. So, folks, listen, you're in the P.I.L.L Method Club right now. Go ahead and follow the club, follow your moderators, because anytime we're anywhere on these stages, Credit Goddess, the credit PhD. What do you call yourself, Miss Dawn? I'm sorry, the Money PhD, and me, Ice, the interest cancellation expert. When we're anywhere else and we're talking, you want to see what's going on there, okay? And see what we're talking about. And you'll get notified if you're following us and you click that notification bell, always, and you'll be notified as to when. So go ahead, follow your moderators, follow the club, and get this good information. And we have 25 people in here now. So go ahead, and we got 17 shares. Can I get the shares up to 26 or 27? If I can get the shares up to 26 or 27, we can get more people in to enjoy this information. All right. So, Miss Dawn, we were talking about the warm and fuzzies. Okay, about money being available. All right. So now here's what I'm also saying, folks. I gave you an extreme. Use all your available cash, put it on the debt. Okay, and then get a line of credit to supply any cash that you would need. So, Miss Dawn, that was an extreme, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Do I teach that extreme?
No. Which I love. I love it.
Okay. So listen, folks, we're trying to get all the information out there. I don't teach that extreme, but I'm just saying that I use the extreme that you want to be able to have a hybrid. You want to have some cash, but having a lot of cash on hand can be detrimental, meaning you're going to pay way more interest than you want to pay. Miss Dawn, do you realize I run into people all the time, because we have people who contact us not only from all over this country, all right, but we do business in 9 countries total. Okay. Do you know how many people we run into that have thousands of dollars in the bank, but they still have balances on their credit card? Thousands of dollars in the bank, sitting in a savings account, credit card. And some of them are pretty big, because that cash in the bank just gives them those warm, fuzzy feelings. Okay. So here's what I'm saying, folks. If you have money in the bank and you have credit cards that have balances, you owe money on the balances, okay? Please treat your credit cards like savings accounts. All right, I'm gonna say it one more time. Please treat your credit cards like savings accounts. Miss Dawn, what do I mean by that? What do you think I mean by that? Yeah.
Have them at 0, and those you will use that in a case of an emergency. Okay. That's what I interpret your instruction to mean.
Well, what I'm looking at here is that if I have my cash here, okay, I'm making 0.1% in the bank, but I could be paying anywhere from 10 to 17 to sometimes 24% on the credit cards. So I'm paying the bank. I'm paying 24% to keep money in my savings account. So if I have $10,000 in the bank and I have $10,000 that I owe on my credit card, to keep the money in the bank, if my interest rate is 17%, it's costing me 17% a year
Yes.
to keep that money in the bank if I have it on my credit, if I owe it on the credit card.
Yes. And I always say that's a guaranteed return. While we're chasing in the stock market, a lot of the investment that we could do to get a guaranteed return is just making a different decision with our money.
Mm-hmm. So if I take my money and I store it in my credit card, so now I pay the credit card down by 10,000. Okay. Now I'm gonna do a little bit of math. I got $10,000 in the bank. I owe $5,000 on the credit card. I got 10,000 in the bank. I got $5,000 on the credit card that I owe. How much money do I have available to me to spend? If I have the money in the bank, how much? If I have $10,000 in the bank, how much money do I have available, Miss Dawn?
If you have 10,000 in the bank,
mm-hmm.
then you have 10,000. But you said you have 5,000 on a credit card.
I got 5,000 on a credit card. So what if I did this? If I did a little bit of math, I'm going to take $5,000 out of the bank.
I know where you're going.
And I would put that $5,000 on the credit card.
Yes.
Okay. How much money do I have to spend in the bank now?
You have 5.
Okay. But how much money do I have available overall to spend?
You have 10.
I have 10. How is it 10 if I only have 5 in the bank?
Because you use the available credit on the credit card.
Okay. So I still have.
I get you, Dawn. I'm working on it.
You're working on it. You're helping me out here, though. Listen, I appreciate you helping me out this morning because, folks, it's the fungibility of money. We're looking at liquidity here, and we're talking about, is cash king? We can get into that so deeply that we will step over dollars to get to dimes. We'll step over dollars to get to dimes because it's just been beat into our heads that not to use credit cards. Credit cards are evil, that we need the cash, and having the cash is king. No. In certain instances, we can keep cash in the bank to our detriment. We can keep cash in the bank to our detriment if we're not doing the math. So let's do the math and let's make good decisions based on the math. So let me talk about the biggest borrowers in town while we're here. Okay, the biggest borrowers in town. All right. So let me ask you this, folks. If you the biggest buildings downtown, wherever you live right now, can we get somebody to talk to us from where they're from? Where are you guys from? Okay, Miss Tiana says, makes sense now. So money goes farther paying down principal than sitting in the bank. Thanks for explaining. Excellent, Miss Tiana. Thank you. All right. And Isaiah says, are you okay? Somebody is Isaiah, you weren't in here before. Don't come in here asking me to do options trading, especially on my stage. Lord have mercy, I almost read that. All right, get that out of here. Bye. Okay. All right, folks, don't come in here trying to sell your options trading. Get your own room. We'll come in there or not come in there. I can almost guarantee you I'm not coming in there because I don't have the interest. I'm not saying it's not a good thing. I don't have the interest. So don't ask me. Please stop trying to sell in my back office. Okay. So, and if I catch you doing it, we're just going to kick you out of the room. Okay. All right. So let's not do that. All right, folks. Okay. Go ahead.
Wait, you kick them out. All I need is you tell me. Put me in, coach.
All right, go ahead. You're in. They can leave. Okay, they can leave. All right. So we're going to delete your comment. Okay, and we're going to kick you out. All right. We're going to say goodbye. Go start your own room, and then maybe some people will come in there. But don't come in here. All right, folks. So if you got a question or comment, come up to the stage. I love it when people come to the stage and talk. All right. So now the biggest borrowers in town, all right, the biggest buildings downtown are banks, at least where I live. Did you realize that the biggest borrowers in town, Miss Dawn, whose money do they borrow?
Ours.
They borrow our money. What do they do with the money that they borrow from us?
Fractional. They invest it while we're asleep.
They invest that money while we're sleeping. Mm. And are they making money with that money?
Absolutely.
Listen, folks, here's the real reason why I'm saying this. I need us to think about these things logically. That's all. That's all I'm asking. Just do a little bit of critical thinking on these things. Okay. I've been here in Huntsville since 2008. Okay. And I know Regions has been here, Wells Fargo, and some other banks have been here. Okay. And they're borrowing money. They're borrowing money from us. And they're not going away. They're not hurting. They're not getting smaller, they're getting bigger. So if they're borrowing money, but they're leveraging that money, and then they're making money with our money. And then what do they pay us for the use of our money, Miss Dawn?
Pennies.
Okay, because you get your bank statements. You're probably one of the few people that actually read a bank statement all the way through.
I do read my bank statement.
So you read the bank statement all the way through, and then when you see how much interest you earned, does that give you a warm fuzzy?
No, it doesn't. Actually, I did it. One year I held $100,000 in cash.
Yes.
And that was paying 1%.
Yeah. 100,000 and you made 1%?
Yeah, unfortunately, I guess this is recorded, right?
Yes.
I did do.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm going to do a little bit of math here. I'm going to bring up my calculator.
I knew that would light your fire.
Well, listen, Miss Dawn, I'm not saying I'm a big math person. I'm just saying I need to do the math. Okay. I got 100,000 and I'm going to multiply that by 1%. We're going to multiply it by 0.01 equals $1,000. $1,000. So, folks, now if you compound it, it's going to be actually a little bit more than that because it's compounded interest. But my point is this: if we have someplace else to put some of that money, it can make more money than it can make more in interest by investing it somehow, even if it's a safe investment. All right. There are investments out there with absolutely no risk. Okay. But we just don't want to keep it in the bank, just sitting there. All right. And let it, it's almost, when you take a look at what you didn't make. Okay. When you look at what you didn't make and what you could have made, should we consider that a loss? I could. Okay. What'd you say, Miss Dawn?
Yes, it is a loss.
It's a loss. So if I take that money and put it somewhere where I could make $10,000 instead of making $1,000, did I just lose $9,000?
Yes, I consider it a loss.
Yes, we should consider that a loss. So, folks, we're not trying to beat up on cash. I like cash. In fact, when people do business with me, my job is to make sure that we save them the maximum amount of interest as mathematically possible. And we actually coach our clients once they become a client. All right. So now, when they pay for our services, they can pay cash or they can use their credit card. Miss Dawn, what do you think I encourage the people to do to pay for our services? To use cash or to use credit?
Credit.
Miss Dawn, but if they use credit, I've got to pay the credit card fees. So why would I do that? Why would I encourage them to use credit, not cash? Because, cash is king. And if they use cash, I don't have to pay any fees. Why would I encourage them to use credit?
One, I like to think that what you probably will do is have them, instead of paying the cash, roll it and show them what they can alleviate as far as interest. And you'll take the hit on the back end just because it's the best interest of the client.
Yeah. That's it. Because once we start teaching this, Okay. And they get into it this deep because we work with our clients on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. All right. And all they're going to see some of these same examples I'm showing you. All right. So Miss Dawn, if a client comes to us and uses their cash and I didn't instruct them from the outset, use your credit card instead of your cash, how are they going to feel about us once they're like week 2 or week 3 in the process?
Once they see the system, they'll be like, why did you have, if it all counts, then why did you have me pull my cash out first?
Exactly. Because their cash would have gone farther in interest savings if we put it on the mortgage. And with the way that we pay back stuff and pay it back so fast, listen, it might cost them $100, maybe $200 in interest, maybe. But with that same amount of money, I could save them thousands of dollars in interest that they don't have to pay if they use their cash on their debt. See, this is what we're talking about, folks. We want to make sure that we understand the difference between borrowing, all right, because you don't have any money, and leveraging. You want to be able to leverage that money, all right? We're talking about liquidity and leveraging. Those are the 2 L's in P.I.L.L method: prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity. Folks, we have, let me see here. What's going on? I'm taking a look at it. We've got 18 shares. Can I get a few more shares? Please share it some more. Get some more people in here. We got 31 people in here right now, and we're at we got 28 comments. Do we have any more? Questions? All right. We don't have any more questions. Okay. Anyway, listen, folks, come up to this. Does anybody want just to come up and say hi? Oh, look at my engineer. Love my engineer. All right. Kirk says he's highlighted something for me so it can be on my screen. Stephanie Rice says, so you're saying it's okay to have a credit card and use it strictly for bills, then pay it right back off to continue to have the credit line amount available on the card when it is needed. Miss Stephanie Rice, not only am I saying that, okay, we're going to go just a little bit deeper on that. Okay. I'm saying get my rewards card. Okay. I'm going to get my rewards card, whether it's miles, because there are rewards out there that can be tremendous. And there's different kinds of cards for different rewards, cash back, double miles, double cash back. There's all kinds of rewards cards. I'm going to use my rewards card for my gasoline when I go to the grocery store. If I stop for McDonald's for French fries, I'm using my credit card. Okay. And then I'm getting the points. I'm getting the rewards. And then if I do what you say, Miss Stephanie, right, I can pay that off the next month and not pay any interest. What? Do you realize I just got all my rewards for free? I got all my rewards for free. And so I like it when credit card companies pay me to use them. Credit cards are a convenience. Credit cards are for people who have resources. They're not for people who don't have resources. So, Miss Stephanie, listen, I'm totally with that. This is something that we teach. Okay. Not only that, but let's get into it a little bit more, because you have 2 dates on the credit card. Okay. You have a payment date and you have a closing date or statement date. Miss Dawn, do you have any words of wisdom for us about using the credit card and the statement date and the closing date and the payment date? Do we have any wisdom in there?
The only thing I would say is the closing date is the one that matters the most to me.
Ooh.
So let's see. Okay.
Ooh, okay. And listen, it matters to me as well. You know, we have some patio furniture. Miss Dawn, you and your husband need to come over. Okay. Listen, Dawn is here in Huntsville, folks. And you know what's crazy about this? I know her relatives.
Yeah, we didn't even know that.
Don, when I first started talking to you like over a year ago in April, because I'm coming into the rooms, Don has all these followers. You know, I got 2 or 3. I'm trying to build up. I said, Miss Dawn, can we work together, please?
Yeah, I was still in Honolulu.
You were still in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you were still in Hawaii when we first met. Then we started talking, and then when you came to the United States, then I found out that you were here in Huntsville. I said, "Oh my gosh, here in Huntsville," and then I find out that you have an aunt that goes to my church.
Yeah, I saw her this Sabbath.
And guess what else I found out?
What?
That I bought your house. I bought my house from another relative of yours.
Yes.
What? So Carnice is, well, how's she related to you?
That's my uncle's wife, Carnice Holloway.
Carnice Holloway. Listen, I'm telling you, folks, the world is just too small. She gets here. And then, so me and my wife says, we need to, let's go hang out. So we go hang out, we go get some food, and we listen to some music and stuff. And then I said, and then I told your auntie I was upset with her because I had to meet you all the way in Hawaii, and she could have introduced us.
But you know what, Dawn? The good thing is,
yes,
because I understood what you were teaching, I was able to say he's legit. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I didn't meet you through you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Understanding your program or some similarities, I understood the concepts. What I learned from you is the details. What I'm learning from you are the details and the way that you are able to clearly articulate it, and it makes it easy for the everyday person to understand. So I'm actually glad we did not meet the way we met very differently. And I just like, hey, any way I could support you because I know what you're teaching is solid. You can count on me.
All right. Well, listen. So now that you see it so now that you're on the inside, all right, is there any way a person can understand what we actually do from the outside looking in, Dawn?
No, and I think it's very detrimental to attempt it. That's why if you always guys hear me, I'm like, hey, he just does such a great job of explaining it. You will run off and think you can do it, and you will be in a worse financial situation because either you're going to use the credit card and not keep it clear, you're going to put your money on the mortgage, and then you're not going to have something because you don't know when, the dates, you don't know how much to move. So you can understand the concept, but until you sit under his tutelage, you cannot maneuver in a way that's going to be beneficial for you. It could be more detrimental than anything. So I'm so say that, Dawn.
So Ms. Dawn, so is the business just me?
No, it's not.
What do you mean?
You have an entire team for one, and which I love, right? You have an entire team supporting you.
Okay.
And the concepts you've introduced to thousands, hundreds of thousands, I believe at this point.
Mm-hmm. So we have a whole team, folks. So when we have a customer service team that's second to none. So when you call us to ask a question, there's people there that there's people there that have, something just came on the screen that disrupted my thinking. All right, because I'm going to mention this in a second. All right, we have people who call. When you call, somebody answers the phone. Ms. Dawn, have you ever called customer service and got a machine?
No.
Okay, because I don't believe in that. When you call, somebody answers. If we're that busy, and you have to talk to the machine, then we need to hire more people. That's it. That's all. Well, that's all I'm saying. You should not have to talk to a machine. You shouldn't have to leave an email and get an answer 2 or 3 days later. You know how customer service is going that way, you know. Email us. Email customer service. I'm talking about huge companies doing email customer service, and then they get back to you later when you don't need the information anymore. Okay? So listen, folks, we have some folks here. We have Trey that was watching us on YouTube right now. And he says, I understand. He says 2.2 years left. Okay? This is Don. This is Trey and India. Okay? All right. Now listen. Trey found me on the internet. Okay? Okay. Miss Dawn, you talk about meeting somebody, right? Trey found me on the internet. And he says, I kind of like what you're doing. Okay. And I said, well, let's get together on Zoom. He says, yeah, Zoom's not going to do it for me. I had to drive miles to go see Trey and India at their house. Okay. They live out of town. I'm not going to tell you where they live. They have to tell you where they live. All right. I had to drive out of town and show them how all of this works. Okay. So Trey, can you tell us when we met, do you know how many years you had left when we met? Because you're down to 2.2 years now. Okay. So if you can put that in the chat, that would be great. So this is what I'm talking about, folks. We have somebody here we have clients all over the place. All right. And this is what I love about doing these lives like this, because sometimes they actually come in and say something every now and then just to say hi. So, and I appreciate that so very much. So Trey in India, congratulations. 2.2 years left. And I'm kind of interested to see what they're going to do next, because our program is a lifetime program. I'm interested to find out what they plan to do next. Oh my goodness. This is going to be so good. I actually love this. So folks, what else do we have here? Do we have any other comments, any other questions? Put it in the chat, come to the stage. Oh my goodness. Listen, let me take a look at my notes. Okay. Credit card HELOCs, credit cards, liquidity, fungible. Okay. So the other day, Ms. Dawn, when we're talking about credit cards, okay, it's kind of hard to not talk about this. And that is velocity banking. Velocity banking. And I meant to talk about this the other day, but we had a ton of questions that day, and we didn't get to talk about velocity banking. Now, the idea of velocity banking, there are tons of people out there on the internet that talk about it. So you can put in velocity banking in your on YouTube, and a bunch of people come up and will explain it. Basically, what they're doing is taking money from a line of credit. Okay, whether it's a credit card or a personal line or even a HELOC, taking money and taking that money and then applying it to the loan. Okay, and then the math says, because even if the interest rate is higher, the interest cost is going to be lower on the amount of money that I borrow. So let's say I borrow $5,000 at even 10% interest. Okay. If I borrow $5,000 even at 10% interest, we're going to go back to our calculator here, and we're going to look at this. Okay, we got $5,000. So if I put $5,000 on this loan, okay, it's going to save me about almost $12,000 in interest. Let's make that a little bit bigger so the folks at home can see it. Those who are zooming in, they can see that. Great, fantastic. So now, so we can $5,000. So, but $5,000 even on a 27% credit card is not going to cost me $11,000. So they're saying I can take money from a credit card and apply it to the mortgage, and the interest I save is going to be way more than the interest it costs me. Okay, so that is called using what they call debt weapons to save interest. Okay, the difference between that and the P.I.L.L method is this. You're constantly guessing. How much should you borrow from the credit card? How?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Dawn, you said, come on. What do you mean? You said you can't. Come
So
on.
let me tell you guys this.
Come on.
I studied some of these concepts, not the exact ones from the P.I.L.L method because that's proprietary, but I studied the concepts for 3 years when I was living in Honolulu. And what I found with velocity, with even, and I did my debt payoff using Snowball. The 140,000 in 17 months was Snowball. But I mean, that's white knuckling it, right? That wasn't smooth and easy. And so what I found with all these fancy methods, nobody could ever tell you how much interest did you avoid, cancel, how much, and then what were the costs. Nobody could ever give you anything quantitative. And that was been my challenge. And this is following you, Dawn, has been the only method that I have seen that could give me the numbers. So I'm gonna just leave that right there and let you take over.
Well, listen, there's not much more to be said, and because that's the thing, folks, you don't want to save just some money. You want to know that I've saved the most that I possibly could. And I've used this example before because I know it matters to you. I know saving money matters to you because if you have a choice between 2 gas stations that you like and they're on the corner, you need gas, I absolutely know you're going to take the cheapest gas, even if it's by a penny. So if we're going to buy our gasoline like that, then we get these ideas and they sound really good, but what's being left out is so important. And what's being left out are the actual numbers. What is the actual math? It's called opportunity cost. How much do I borrow? And do you know how many people come to me, especially in Australia? Oh my gosh, people in Australia come to us because they use something similar. All right. They use first position HELOCs. All right. And there's a guy who wrote a book. You've actually talked to him. All right. And so, and I've talked to the people who use first position HELOCs, meaning they put their whole house in a HELOC. And what they're doing is when they get paid, they instead of putting their money in their checking account, they put their money on the HELOC. All right. When they put their money on the HELOC, that lowers the amount of interest that they'll pay, and then they pay their bills from there. It's a good system. It does work. But again, you don't know how much interest you're saving to do that. And here's what I hear from the people from Australia that use that system. Here's what I'm hearing from them. I have $100,000 available to me. Okay, so they're paying they have that HELOC, their whole home in the HELOC. They've paid it down. There's $100,000 available to them now. Okay, they paid it down by $100,000, but something happens, and that money is just too tempting. It is just too tempting to say, you know what, we need to do something here. Fix up the house, something broke, and we're going to take $1,000 of that money and we're going to put it back. But guess what happens, Dawn?
It never goes back.
It doesn't go back. But Dawn, they still have $99,000 paid down, and then something happens again.
Mm-hmm.
And then listen, they nickel and dime that thing away. And all their equity they just built up goes away, and then they get in trouble. In fact, you can Google this. 60 Minutes in Australia. Australia has a version of 60 Minutes. This very system almost brought their whole economy to a standstill. Okay.
You know, Hawaii has where they do the. Hawaii has a large HELOCs too.
Okay, talk to us about that, Dawn, because we missed part of what you said.
No, I was saying Hawaii has a program where they use large HELOCs
Mm-hmm.
in first position. and because of the cost of the properties, right? So
Right.
700,000 is a condo, and $1 million plus is a single family, and so they do the same thing. And all I urge is move with caution, because this is what happens when people take a little bit of information, attempt to execute. Because part of this is math and part of this is habits. If you don't have the training and the coaching that goes along with this program, you're going to have a mess. You're going to have a mess on your hands. It is important that not only do you understand the concept, you have the tools, you have the mentorship and the coaching. It's a whole thing. Don't run off and try to do this on your own.
So, Miss Dawn, so can somebody go to my website right now and purchase our program?
No.
No. There's no there's no shopping cart. There's no way to check out. You can't go to the P.I.L.L Method website and buy this program, folks. We have to be there every step of the way. And once you become one of our clients, guess what? You have customer service there to help you. We assign a coach to you, and we're there with you the whole way until you don't need the coach anymore. Okay, I'm telling you, it's it definitely is a whole thing. Now Trey just gave us sent us another message. Okay, Trey just sent us another message, and thank you everyone. Thank you for all of those who have shared the room out there 20 times. We have 30 people in here. Here's what Trey has to say. Okay, it says it was 7 years. All right, but it went to 5.4 years after being tutored by you, paid off 2 rental properties already, the personal home and the new vehicle bought during the process left. Okay, so they've already paid off doing that. Okay, all right, and we got Orlando Mitchell here. Hi, Orlando. Orlando says P.I.L.L and Velocity works. Second position HELOCs work versus first lien. So he says second position HELOCs, that works as well, using it as a debt weapon, borrowing it from that. But he's saying they all work. And I want to be very clear on this. They all work. Okay. But if you're not counting the cost, if you're not measuring, okay, any engineer will tell you, you can't optimize what you can't measure. You need to be able to measure how much money you are moving at any one time. You also need to measure what your results are, because if you don't measure what your results are, how can you improve? Miss Coffee Brown is in the house. Go ahead and put a moderator badge on Miss Coffee. Miss Coffee, how are you doing this morning?
Don, I'm blessed and highly flavored and out here in these Texas streets just giving the people life, Don. How you doing, Reverend Don?
Listen, I'm so glad to be coming to Texas in a couple weeks. So it's going to be we're going to actually put that on the screen here. The event I'm going to be in, and so we need to talk about that, folks. So we need to get you in there. We need to sell a few tickets right now. So that is okay, multi MUL. Come on now, MUL. Okay, I got to get that link. All right, I got to remember the link. All right, hold on. I got it in my notes. So we're going to be in Texas. We're going to be in Dallas, Miss Coffee. Where are you?
Don, I can't believe you forgot where I'm at. I'm in Houston.
You in Houston? That's right. I just wanted you to say it. I know where you are. I know you were in Dallas. I just wanted you to say it. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the folks while I get this information.
Yes, sir. I am Coach B. Coffee Brown. I'm a certified master life coach, and just grateful. I do a myriad of things. Some would say serial entrepreneurship. I just say multiple streams of assets that add value to others. I have a boutique. I also have a phenomenal publishing house. We're getting ready to spearhead another incredible part of a second series to a project on education, parenting teens, the tug of war to adulthood. So we're going to be spearheading that second series coming up soon. If anybody is interested in writing with us, you can DM me on Instagram. Please don't DM me here. It's too hard to get the messages. Sometimes they come through, sometimes they don't. But you can definitely DM me on Instagram. We work with collaborators educators and networkers so that you can understand it's imperative that you have a published, it's imperative. Just the other day, Don, I lost a great friend of mine. She passed away. She had kidney failure, got a kidney, had it for years, and then the kidney failed again, and so she passed away. But ironically, she had messaged me about 6 months ago saying that she wanted to get her life's journey in a book. And I told her, I said, hey, hit me up when you're ready. Let's get you started and get you published. Well, she passed away before she could do so. And I'm saying that because it is so important that we understand that the books that are in our belly, they need to come out now. So you need to work on those, connect with me. I'm more than happy to assist you with getting those works published. So, Don, I appreciate the opportunity to share what it is that I do, but more importantly, to be in the presence of greatness with yourself, Don, and my girl, Credit Goddess. So I yield the mic back to you, sir.
All right. Thank you so very much for being here. So, folks, you see it on your screen. I put it in the chat. I've also put it in the comments online. The largest multifamily development summit ever is going to be in Dallas the 16th and the 17th. I am going to be speaking at this event. Everybody there is in the multifamily building space, except me. All right. Norman, thank you so much. Norman says he's got to go. He enjoyed the room. Thank you so very much, Norman, for coming in. Listen, anytime you ever want to speak, just raise your hand, man, and come on up. All right. We appreciate you. All right. So listen, folks, take a look at this. This is Alvin Johnson. He's the founder of this thing. And he does, he builds these multifamily units, and he has some unique things that they do to make their units top notch. All right. But I'm going to be speaking on this. I'm the only one that is not in that space. I'm going to be talking about how they can pay these $40 million projects off using bank money. Okay. But they don't have to pay all of that interest. Oh, I can't wait. Here's some of the speakers there. Some of these folks you even heard of from the BOB. We got Dallas in there. We got Kalani Blackwell. Oh, there's Don Daniel, interest cancellation expert. So go ahead, go through this, get your tickets. Let's see you in Dallas on the 16th and the 17th. I'm speaking on Friday, the 16th. So we're going to leave that up for a few minutes while we're getting ready to get out of here. Also, folks, I'm going to add actually put this. I'm going to put the link in the chat. Why don't I do that as well? So I'm going to put the link in the chat. So, Credit Goddess, are you available to talk to us at all? Are you still busy? All right. If you can, go ahead and flash your mic. But if you can't, I understand. Oh, man, she can. So, Credit Goddess, we didn't get a chance to talk to you about your views on cash. Is cash king or is cash not king? Let's get your views on it while I put this in the chat.
Cash is king, but credit is queen.
Talk to us.
Cash is king. You guys can keep that. But let me tell you, credit is queen. If you guys ever played the game of chess, listen, the queen can move in all directions. She is not limited to how she can move, right? So that's what I have to say about that. We don't need to explain any further. But y'all got it, right? Y'all can keep that. The cash is king.
Love that. Great job. I love that.
All right, folks. Listen, she's saying the most powerful piece on the board is the queen. All right, more powerful than the king. So listen, folks, we want to have a wise use of somebody else's money. That's what we're talking about. And the biggest borrowers in town are the banks. Let's follow their lead. In understanding this whole idea of, should we borrow? Should we leverage somebody else's money? Should we use that in our investments? Should we let our equity just sit in our houses? Or should we do something and grow our wealth. You see, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. And folks, when we don't use money properly, if we sit on our laurels, we just look at it, we're losing opportunities and we're still wasting money. We're still losing out if we fail to earn what we could have earned. It's not just enough to have the money. You need to be able to do something with that money. A lot of our clients, when they pay off a house, they never thought they would pay it off. But guess what? When they do, you know what they do? Turn around to do, most of them? They put a renter in that current house and go get them another one. And you know when they pay off that one, you know what they do? They put a renter in that house too, and they go get another one. So folks, you see the link above our heads there. Go ahead, click on the link, and I'd love to see you in Dallas. And listen, I'm going to bring some books. And if you already have my book, bring it and I'll sign it. All right. I'm going to have some books there. If you don't have one, I'll sign that book too. All right. And just so that you'll know, so since we have it on the screen here, all right, I should hope, and we have it in the chat. Let's go ahead and put the book on the screen. I want you to know that this book is a miracle in and of itself, Miss Dawn. All right. Because you may not know this, Miss Dawn, because I have Asperger's and ADD. All right. Well, Asperger's is a form of autism. And somebody told me, stop calling it Asperger's. Call it what it is. You're autistic. All right. So I'm autistic, but I use my autism as a superpower to get this information out there to the people. So because of that, I didn't read my first book, Miss Dawn, until I was 46 years old.
Wow.
I didn't read all the way. Well, I could read, but I just didn't read I never read a book all the way through.
Yeah.
Okay. When I read my first book all the way through, I was 46 years old, and the book was As a Man Thinketh by Allen. Okay. So I read that book. It's just a little bitty book. But do you know, when I read that book all the way through, I had such a sense of accomplishment. I've read hundreds of books since then. Okay. But that got me started. You know, so now a person who didn't even read a book until it's 46 years old, wrote a book. So here's my book, folks. It's been a 5-time bestseller on Amazon. Get the book today. All right. And then you could also follow what we have on you can follow us on with our 10K card, ice10k.com. When you get the book, then follow the directions on there. I think it's the button that says number 3. And then you can take a picture of your receipt, upload it, and then we'll give you a 10K card as well. So you can get a 10K business card worth $100 when you get the book. So folks, it's been a pleasure being with you today. We're going to do our outros after we say goodbye to everybody online. So folks, we have Miss Dawn here. We have Credit Goddess. We have Coffee Brown. They've already explained to you who they were. Please listen to the replays. We're going to say goodbye to everybody online, and then we're going to do our outros here on Clubhouse. But I want to make sure that people get the book, get your savings and earnings report, and I want to see you in Dallas on the 16th and 17th of this month. I'm going to be there, so buy your ticket. There's still some tickets available. All right, get your ticket. I want to see you there. All right, we're going to give Dr. Eric Thomas the last word here, and I'll see you again on Friday. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, and our team created the most powerful money management, wealth building, debt elimination system ever created. At our recent seminar in Nashville, Tennessee, the keynote speech was delivered by the #1 motivational speaker in the world, Dr. Eric Thomas. E.T., as he's also known, mentioned he paid off his mortgage in 4 years using the P.I.L.L Method. I invite you to watch and listen.
Listen to me, y'all. But one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.
Did you hear that? No mortgage, no stress. If you would like to become debt and mortgage free within an average of 7 to 9 years by cutting your interest costs by up to 75%, go to PILLmethod.com and request a savings and earnings report today.